Imagine a world where words have the actual power to change reality. Not just to describe it, but
Oh,
to shape it. You speak a word, and fire appears. You speak a word in a dark language, and the sky turns black.
okay.
Now imagine a ring, a simple gold band that looks innocent enough, but when you put it on, you don't just disappear. You step into a shadow world.
Mm.
You hear secrets you weren't meant to hear. You feel a weight that starts to drag your soul down, inch by inch. It's a story about monsters, yes. But if you look closer, it's a story about the terrifying power of language and the burden of carrying something heavy when you feel too small to move.
Wow.
So, here's the question we are starting with today. If you found that ring, knowing it would give you power but cost you your sanity, would you pick it up?
Welcome to Hello English.
Ah, you pulled me right back from the edge of the precipice there. I was just about to reach for it.
I had to intervene. We can't have our host turning invisible before we even get to the first vocabulary word. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
I'm the host speaker, and I am the curious learner here. I'm the one who watches movies with the subtitles on because I'm terrified of missing a nuance.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I love a good story, but I'll admit, sometimes the English used in high fantasy, it trips me up. It feels different than the English I hear at the coffee shop.
And I'm the expert speaker, here to be your guide. And you are absolutely right. The English of fantasy is a specific beast. It's often, archaic, poetic, and filled with a gravity that we don't usually use when ordering a latte.
Exactly. So let's talk about our mission today. We aren't just going to fangirl over the Lord of the Rings, although, full disclosure, I might fangirl a little bit.
A little geek out session is permitted, but our primary mission is to use this massive cultural monolith of a story as a tool.
A tool for what?
We are going to treat J.R. Tolkien's work not just as entertainment, but as a textbook. A very exciting, dangerous textbook.
Okay, I like that. We're going to extract vocabulary, fix some of those nagging grammar mistakes that haunt us, and work on pronunciation. And the topic, as I hinted, is The Lord of the Rings.
The trilogy, to end all trilogy.
I have vivid memories of these movies. I remember the epic battles, sure, but mostly. I remember the walking. There's so much walking.
So much
They
walking.
walk over mountains, they walk through swamps, they walk through forests. It's essentially a 12-hour movie about a very long hike.
It is the ultimate hiking vlog, essentially.
Yeah.
With, slightly higher stakes.
And scary spiders.
We will get to the spiders, but I want to reassure our listeners right now. If you
Yeah.
are sitting there thinking, I'm not a fantasy nerd, I don't care about elves or wizards, please don't tune out.
Yes, stick with us. This is for you.
You don't need to know the difference between an orc and a goblin to get value from this deep dive. The themes we are discussing, loyalty, courage, temptation, are universal.
Totally.
And the English we are pulling out, it's for business, it's for relationships, it's for daily life.
We are just using the hobbits as our teachers today.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a massive map to unroll. Let's start with section 1, the big picture. We need to set the scene.
Let's define the genre first. We throw around the word fantasy a lot, but in a literary context and for an English learner, what does that actually signal?
To me, fantasy usually means magic, dragons,
Yeah.
things that aren't real, swords and stuff.
That is the baseline, yes. But linguistically, we can get a little more specific. We distinguish between low fantasy and high fantasy. The Lord of the Rings is high fantasy.
High fantasy, does that mean it's fancy or just better?
In a way, it means it takes place in a secondary world, a completely invented reality with its own geography, its own history, and its own laws of physics. It's not just London with a wizard in it, it is Middle-earth.
I see. So Harry Potter would be, what, low fantasy? Because it happens in our world, just hidden.
That's a great example. It's set in our world, but with magical elements. High fantasy, on the other hand, builds a world from the ground up.
And that brings up a word I saw in the notes, supernatural.
Yes, supernatural. Let's break that word down because it's a great example of how English builds meaning. You have the prefix super.
Which usually means really good, right? Like, that movie was super.
In slang, yes, but in its Latin root, super means above or beyond, and natural refers to nature, the physical world and its laws.
So supernatural literally means above nature or beyond nature.
Exactly. It describes things that violate the laws of nature. Ghosts, magic spells, immortality, talking trees. When we talk about fantasy, we are talking about supernatural elements.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, Middle-earth. I have a question that might sound a bit silly, but I think some listeners might wonder too. The movies were filmed in New Zealand.
They were, famously so.
And New Zealand is a real place. So is Middle-earth real? I mean, can I go visit it?
That is a completely valid question because the landscapes look so tangible, so real. But we have to make a clear distinction here. New Zealand is a real sovereign country. Middle-earth is fictional.
Fictional. Fictional.
It comes from the word fiction. Fiction is any story that is invented by the author. It is not factual, it's made up. So while the mountain you see on screen is a real pile of rock in New Zealand,
Right.
the Mount Doom in the story is fictional. The name, the history, the purpose, all invented.
It's a constructed reality.
Yeah.
But built on a real foundation,
Yeah.
which is what makes it feel so believable.
Exactly. And Tolkien was a master of world building. That's another great compound noun for you. World building. It's the process of creating that fictional history and geography and languages to make it feel real.
He really went all out. Okay, so we are in a fictional world. For the listener who hasn't read the books or maybe saw the movies 20 years ago and has forgotten everything except the hairy feet, can we do a quick plot summary?
Absolutely.
But keep it simple. Simple English. No elvish names I can't pronounce.
Challenge accepted. Let's strip away all the complex lore and focus on the core conflict. Here is the plot. There is a villain. His name is Sauron. He is the Dark Lord.
Dark Lord is a pretty clear job title. You know exactly what you're getting with a boss like that.
You do. No casual Fridays with Sauron. He created a powerful ring, a magical piece of jewelry to control every living being in the world. He wanted absolute dominion.
He lost it.
He lost it, which was very careless of him, really. A huge fumble.
Right. You have one job. Don't lose the all-powerful ring.
Thousands of years later, this ring is found by the most unlikely creature imaginable, a hobbit named Frodo Baggins.
And we should clarify, a hobbit is small.
Tiny. About half the height of a human. They love food, they love gardening, and they hate adventure. They are comfortable. They are creatures of habit.
So the smallest person finds the most dangerous object?
Correct. And this sets up the quest. Frodo must take the ring to the only place where it can be destroyed. A volcano deep in the enemy's territory called Mount Doom.
Destroy. That's a key verb here, isn't it?
It is. Destroy. D-E-S-T-R-O-Y. It means to completely end the existence of something. To ruin it so it cannot be fixed.
It's stronger than break, right? If I break a plate, I can maybe glue it back together.
Much stronger. Exactly. If I drop my coffee mug, I break it. I might be able to glue the pieces back together. But if I throw my coffee mug into a volcano...
It is destroyed. It's gone forever.
It is gone. It is dust. It has ceased to be. Frodo cannot just hide the ring or bury it. He must destroy it.
And he has to do it at Mount Doom. I've always loved that name. It's so subtle.
It's about as subtle as a hammer to the face. But doom is an interesting word. In modern English, it usually means a terrible fate or unavoidable death. If we say the project is doomed, we mean it is guaranteed to fail.
But I read that in Old English, doom just meant judgment or law.
That's true. Tolkien, being a linguist, knew that. So it's a place of judgment. But for the modern listener, Mount Doom sounds like Mount Death and Destruction. It tells you immediately this is a dangerous place.
So that's the conflict. Small hobbit, dangerous ring, very scary mountain.
And an army of monsters trying to stop him.
Simple enough. Now let's move to section 2. We touched on the word quest briefly, but I want to dig deeper because this isn't just a road trip.
No. In literature, we call this the hero's journey, and the specific vocabulary word for this action is a quest.
Quest. Q-U-E-S-T. It sounds so noble. More important than just a trip.
It is. A quest is a long, arduous search for something. It implies a struggle, a purpose, a noble goal.
So if I go to the grocery store to buy milk, is that a quest? Even if I really, really want the milk.
Only if the grocery store is guarded by a dragon and you have to solve a riddle to get the dairy.
Okay, fair enough.
Otherwise, that is just an errand. An errand is a short trip to do a small task.
Okay, good distinction. Errand versus quest. An errand is small and routine. A quest is life-changing.
Exactly. But we can use quest metaphorically in real life. You might hear someone say, I am on a quest to find the perfect burger in New York City.
I like that. It adds a bit of drama to a hobby. It makes it sound more important.
It does. Or, more seriously, the scientists are on a quest to find a cure for the disease. It implies dedication and difficulty.
And for our listeners,
Yeah.
how can they use it?
Learning English is a quest.
Learning English is a quest. I love that. It validates the struggle. It means, yes, this is hard. Yes, there are obstacles, but the destination is worth it.
Exactly. It reframes the difficulty as part of the adventure. It's not just studying, it's a quest.
Now, Frodo didn't ask for this quest. He actually tries to give the ring away. He says, I don't want this. But Gandalf tells him he has a responsibility.
Responsibility. This is a heavyweight word, and it's a mouthful to pronounce for sure.
Let's break it down. Responsility. 6 syllables. That's a quest in itself.
It's a marathon of a word. Let's talk about the stress, because that's key. The primary stress is on the second I, responsibility.
Responsibility.
Good. Notice the I sounds are very short and soft. We don't say responsibility. It's softer, faster. Responsibility.
Responsibility.
Got it.
And what does it really mean in this context? A duty.
It means having a duty or an obligation to deal with something. It means you are the one who must answer for it. Frodo is responsible for the ring. If he fails, the world ends.
That is a lot of pressure. I mean, a ridiculous amount of pressure.
Massive pressure. Responsibility often implies that you have control over something or a duty of care. Parents have a responsibility to their children.
A CEO has a responsibility to their employees and shareholders.
Exactly. It's about accountability.
I want to make this interactive. I want to pause the lecture mode and do a speaking practice moment.
Excellent idea. Let's do it.
Listeners, I want you to think about your own life. We all have quests and we all have responsibilities. I want you to answer this question aloud. Don't just think it, speak it. Here's the question. What is a big responsibility you have right now?
Is it your job, your family, your studies? Maybe it's a pet?
I'm going to give you a few seconds. Try to form the sentence. Fill in the blank. My big responsibility is silence for 4 seconds. Okay. Expert, I'm putting you on the spot. What is your big responsibility?
My responsibility right now is to ensure these definitions are clear and accurate. I feel the weight of it. What about you?
My responsibility is feeding my cat.
Huh. I knew it'd be something like that.
No, I'm serious. If I am 1 hour late with his dinner, he starts knocking things off the shelf. He destroys the house. So my responsibility is maintaining peace in my household.
That is a valid responsibility. And you used destroy correctly again. See? It's sticking.
I'm learning. Okay, section 3. Frodo accepts the quest, but he realizes he can't do it alone.
No. One of the central themes of Tolkien's work is that you cannot succeed in isolation. You need a team. You need help.
And this team is called the Fellowship.
The Fellowship. Such a great word.
Why Fellowship? Why not the squad or the team? The Ring Squad has a nice ring to it.
It sounds a bit too modern, doesn't it? Fellowship has a beautiful etymology. It comes from an Old English root related to laying down money together, essentially being business partners. But it evolved to mean a group of people who share a mutual interest, a mutual experience, and a mutual bond.
So it implies equality, right? Not just a boss and his employees.
It does. In the Fellowship, you have a king, Aragorn, a prince, Legolas, and a simple gardener, Sam. But in the Fellowship, they are equals. They are companions on the same mission.
Speaking of the Fellowship, I have to bring up a fun fact I found. The actors who played the 9 members of the Fellowship, Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, Orlando Bloom, they became so close during filming that they all got matching tattoos.
That is a famous story, a true testament to their bond. They got the number 9 written in the Elvish language tattooed on their bodies.
That's the ultimate sign of bonding. But there was one holdout, wasn't there?
Yes, the great John Rhys Estes, the actor who played Gimli the dwarf.
He didn't get the tattoo. Why not?
No. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, "Whenever there is anything dangerous or involving blood, I send my stunt double." So he actually sent his stunt double to get the tattoo instead.
That is hilarious. That is the most boss move I have ever heard. I am loyal to the Fellowship, but not needle in my skin loyal. Stuntman, you go do it.
It's funny, but it actually transitions us perfectly to the core vocabulary word of this section, loyalty.
Loyalty, L-O-Y-A-L-T-Y.
Loyalty is an unwavering support. It is faithfulness to a person, a cause, or a belief, even when it's difficult.
And the poster child for loyalty is Samwise Gamgee.
Sam, the true hero of the story, in many people's eyes. I'm one of them.
Explain why. On the surface, he's just a gardener.
He is, but there is a pivotal scene at the end of the first film, the first part of the story. Frodo decides to leave the group. He gets in a boat to cross the river alone because he wants to protect his friends from the danger of the ring.
And Sam realizes what is happening.
Sam runs into the water after him. Now, you have to understand, Sam cannot swim. He sinks like a stone. He's literally drowning. but he keeps walking into the water toward Frodo's boat.
That is terrifying. It's such a powerful image.
Frodo pulls him out and asks, "What are you doing?" And Sam says, "I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee, and I don't mean to."
Oh, that makes me tear up every time.
Right.
That is the definition of loyalty, putting someone else's safety above your own life.
Exactly. In real life, we use this word for relationships. Dogs are famous for their loyalty. Or, in the workplace, he showed great loyalty to the company by staying during the hard times.
It's distinct from obedience, isn't it? It feels different.
Very different. A soldier obeys an order because he has to. It's about hierarchy. A friend is loyal because they want to be. It comes from the heart.
Connected to this is friendship.
Friendship. Notice the suffix ship. It turns the person, friend, into the abstract relationship, friendship.
It's like leadership or citizenship.
Correct. And the friendship between Legolas the elf and Gimli the dwarf is so significant because their races hate each other historically. They start the movie insulting each other constantly.
Never trust an elf.
Exactly. But by the end, they are best friends. They are having a competition to see who can kill more orcs. They overcome their prejudice through shared struggle.
It's such a great dynamic. Now, I want to pivot to a grammar point here. Because when I talk about Sam, I hear a specific mistake come up with learners. It involves the third person.
I think I know which one you mean.
If I say, Sam's a great friend, he don't leave Frodo.
Ah, the classic, he don't.
I hear this in pop songs all the time. She don't care, it don't matter. So is it wrong? Or is it just cool?
This is where we have to be nuanced. In certain dialects of English like African-American Vernacular English or AAV or some British regional dialects, he don't is a grammatical rule within that dialect. It is consistent and correct in that context.
Okay, so it's not broken English, it's just a different dialect with its own rules.
Exactly. However, and this is a big however, in standard English, the kind you'd use in professional or academic contexts, it is considered an error.
So if I'm taking an IELTS exam or writing an email to my boss,
You must use the third person singular conjugation. He doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't.
why is it so hard for learners to remember that S? It seems so small.
Because English verbs are usually so easy. I run, you run, we run, they run, and then suddenly, he runs. It's the only change. It's an exception, and exceptions are easy to forget.
Okay, so let's practice the correction.
Let's do it. Repeat after me. He doesn't give up.
He doesn't give up.
She doesn't stop walking.
She doesn't stop walking.
It doesn't matter how far it is.
It doesn't matter how far it is.
Perfect. Listeners, try to catch yourself. If you catch yourself saying, "My boss don't know," pause. Correct it in your head. "My boss doesn't know." It instantly elevates your English level.
Okay, let's move to section 4, the struggle. This is where things get dark.
We've talked about the physical struggle, walking, the fighting. Now we have to talk about the psychological struggle.
The ring. It's not just a piece of metal. It has a will of its own. It exerts power.
Power. The tagline of the movie is "one ring to rule them all."
To rule, that means to govern or control, right? Like a king rules a country.
Yes, exactly. But the ring doesn't just give you power over others. It gives you temptation.
Temptation. That is a delicious word. Temptation.
Temptation is a strong desire to do something, especially something that you know is wrong or unwise.
I feel this every night at 10 p.m. when I walk past the kitchen.
What's in the kitchen?
Chocolate.
Hmm.
Or just scrolling on my phone when I know I should be sleeping. That's a huge temptation.
That is a perfect example of temptation. I shouldn't do this, but I want to. It's that internal battle.
In the story, the ring is like the ultimate addiction. It calls to people. It promises them whatever they want most.
It does. And this is a great way to understand the word corrupt. The ring corrupts people.
To change them from good to bad.
Precisely. It twists their desires and turns them into something ugly. And the best example of this corruption is Gollum.
Gollum, or Smeagol. He is such a creepy, fascinating, and ultimately tragic character. My precious.
The sound of that voice. Gollum is a tragic figure. He used to be a hobbit-like creature named Smeagol, but he found the ring, and the temptation was so strong that he murdered his best friend to get it.
And then he lived in a cave for 500 years with it. Just him and the ring.
And the ring ate his mind. It destroyed his personality. This is why he has a split personality. You have the good Smeagol, who remembers friendship and the sun, and the bad Gollum, who only wants the ring.
Have you noticed the grammar he uses? He never says I. He says we. We wants it. We needs it.
That is a brilliant linguistic detail by Tolkien. He has lost his singular self. He is never alone. He is always with the ring. It's a part of him now. So he refers to himself as a plural. We.
It's heartbreaking, really. He is a slave to his addiction. He's a warning of what could happen to Frodo.
He is. And to fight that kind of temptation, you need courage.
Courage.
Another important word.
Now, I've heard students struggle with this pronunciation. I've heard courage or courage.
Right, because it's spelled O-U-R. It looks like it should be courage, but it is ace-um.
Courage.
Think of curry, like the food, and then ridge, like the edge of a mountain. Courage.
Courage. And what is the definition? Is it not being afraid?
No. This is a very common misconception. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being terrified, shaking in your boots scared, and doing the right thing anyway.
So if I'm not scared of public speaking, I can't be courageous when I give a speech.
Exactly. If you are not scared, you are just confident, or maybe oblivious. But if you are terrified of spiders, and you see a huge one in your house, and you go and deal with it, that is courage.
Frodo is scared the entire time. He's constantly on the verge of giving up.
Yes, he is a tiny gardener walking into a war zone. He is terrified. But he takes the next step, and then the next.
And for our listeners, I think this applies directly to speaking English.
Absolutely. It takes courage to open your mouth and speak a foreign language to a native speaker. You are afraid of making a mistake. You are afraid of looking foolish.
But you do it anyway.
That is linguistic courage, and every time you do it, you get stronger.
I love that. You are all warriors, listeners.
Okay, Section 5 deals with the obstacles, and there are many.
We have orcs, we have the Balrog, which is a giant demon of fire, and we have Shelob.
Shelob, the giant spider.
I hate spiders. I really, really do.
Arachnophobia, it's very common.
Yes. And apparently Peter Jackson, the director of the films, also has arachnophobia.
He does. Which makes it interesting that he designed such a horrific, realistic, terrifying spider.
It brings us to the expression, face your fears.
Face your fears. It means to confront the thing that scares you instead of running away or avoiding it.
Sam has to face his fear of the spider to save Frodo.
And Peter Jackson had to face his fear to animate the spider and make a compelling scene.
There is another expression that I think is the mantra of this whole story. Because the journey is thousands of miles long. They can't teleport.
No, they have to walk. We've established this.
How do you walk into Mordor?
Yeah.
How do you tackle such a huge, impossible task?
Step by step.
Step by step. It's such a simple phrase, but it's so powerful.
It breaks a massive, overwhelming task down into manageable pieces. You don't think about the whole mountain, you just think about the next step.
Learning English is the same. You cannot become fluent in a day. You can't just upload the language to your brain as much as we wish we could.
You do it step by step. One word today, one video tomorrow, one conversation next week. Each step is a small victory.
And when you feel tired, when you feel like you can't take another step.
Don't give up or stay strong.
There's a scene where Frodo collapses on the side of Mount Doom. He is done. He has no water, no food, and the ring is weighing him down physically and mentally. He says, I can't go on.
And Sam says the most beautiful line in the entire story, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you.
And he picks him up. He physically picks up his friend and carries him up the side of a volcano.
He picks him up and walks up the mountain. That is resilience. That is loyalty. That is friendship.
I want to talk about a grammar mistake I often hear when people talk about agreeing with someone. If I listen to Sam's actions, and I think he is right, a learner might say, I agree with Sam.
I am agree. Yes, I hear that one a lot.
Why is it wrong? It sounds like it should be right.
I think learners often translate this directly from their native language. In many languages like Spanish, estoy de acuerdo, or French, je suis d'accord, it uses the verb to be. But in English, agree is a verb.
It is an action, the act of agreeing.
Yes, you wouldn't say I'm eat or I am know. You say I eat or I know. The same rule applies here.
So simply, I agree.
I agree, or the negative, I don't agree. You never need the verb to be with agree.
Never. I agree.
Never. If you absolutely want to use I am, you have to use the adjective agreement. I am in agreement. But that is very formal. Just say, I agree. It's easier and more natural.
I agree that Sam is the best character.
I agree with you, 100%.
Easy. Okay, let's move to section 6. I want to do some more speaking practice and reflection.
Let's make it personal again.
We talked about Mount Doom as a scary place. But in our lives, Mount Doom can be a metaphor for a difficult challenge.
A deadline, a difficult conversation, a big exam.
Exactly. So, listener, here's your question. Have you ever faced a challenge that felt like your own personal Mount Doom? How did you feel?
Pause the deep dive if you need to. Try to say the sentence out loud. My Mount Doom was...
Silence for 4 seconds.
Okay, expert. What was a Mount Doom for you?
For me, honestly, it was moving to a new country where I didn't speak the language well at all.
Right.
I felt isolated. I felt small, like a hobbit in a big world. Everything was a challenge.
Did you want to give up?
Every single day. I wanted to go home where things were easy and familiar, but I took it step by step. I learned one phrase at a time, and eventually the mountain didn't look so high anymore.
That is really inspiring. For me, my Mount Doom was my driving test.
Really?
The driving test.
I failed it 2 times. I was paralyzed with fear. My leg was shaking on the pedal. I swear the instructor looked like an orc to me.
Did he growl at you?
Basically. But I had to face my fear. I went back a 3rd time. I breathed. I focused. And I finally passed.
Courage. See, you faced your fear and you did it anyway.
I did. Okay, let's do a quick-fire round of adjectives to describe people. This is great for building vocabulary. I'll give you a character. You give me a sophisticated English adjective.
I am ready. Fire away.
Gandalf the Wizard.
Wise. Wise. It means having experience, knowledge, and good judgment.
Frodo.
Determined.
Determined. He doesn't stop. What about selfless?
Selfless is another great one. He thinks of the world before himself. The opposite of selfish.
Aragorn.
Humble.
Humble. That means not arrogant, right? Not full of himself.
Right. He is the rightful king of the biggest kingdom of men, but he lives in the wild. He is dirty. He sleeps on the ground. He doesn't brag or demand respect. He earns it. He is humble.
That is a great quality in a leader.
Indeed.
We are reaching the end of the journey. Section 7, the climax and the themes.
Spoiler alert, for a book written in the 1950s, the ring gets destroyed.
But, and this is crucial,
Mm-hmm.
Frodo fails.
He does.
Yeah.
At the very edge of the volcano, standing over the lava, the temptation becomes too strong. He cannot throw it in. He puts it on his finger and claims it for himself.
So the hero
Mm-hmm.
doesn't save the day. I think that shocks a lot of people.
It does. And this is where the antiquest comes in. The only reason the ring is destroyed is because Gollum attacks him.
Gollum bites Frodo's finger off.
Yes. Brutal.
Grammar check. Bite off.
Yes, that's a great phrasal verb. To bite is just to use your teeth on something. To bite off means to separate a piece completely with your teeth.
So Gollum bites off the finger to get the ring. He is dancing with joy,
Yep.
and he slips and falls into the lava.
It is deeply ironic. Evil destroys itself. Frodo couldn't do it. The ring's own corruption, embodied by Gollum, caused its own destruction.
And the world is saved.
Yeah.
But it's not a Disney happy ending, is it? It's
Really?
more complicated.
No, and that is why I love this story. When they go back home to the Shire, everyone else is having a party. They are drinking ale and growing pumpkins. They're unchanged. But Frodo is changed forever.
He says, I have been too deeply hurt, Sam. I tried to save the Shire, and it has been saved, but not for me.
That is such a profound and sad sentence. It touches on the theme of sacrifice.
Sometimes, to win, you have to lose something.
You lose your innocence. You lose your peace of mind. Frodo essentially has PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. He can't go back to his old life. The memory of the burden is too great.
So he leaves. He gets on a ship to the Undying Lands. He leaves Sam and his home behind forever.
It's a bittersweet ending, but it feels real. Great victory often comes at a great cost.
And I think that brings us to the final question. Why is this story so popular? Why do we still read it and watch it 70 years later?
I don't think it's because of the monsters or the cool sword fights, as great as they are.
No, I thought it was the giant elephant things.
Those are cool. But I think it's because of the universal themes.
Themes that apply to everyone in any culture at any time.
Hope in the face of despair, friendship, the idea that even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
We all feel small sometimes. We all feel like we are facing a dark lord, whether that is a debt or a sickness or a difficult language exam.
And this story tells us you don't have to be a giant warrior with a magic sword. You just have to keep walking. You just have to be loyal to your friends and have a little bit of courage.
That is a beautiful message.
That is.
Wow. Okay, I feel like we have been on a journey ourselves today. Let's bring it back to the map and do a quick recap. We learned some powerful words.
Let's review them.
Well-
An important, difficult journey. Not just an errand,
Responsibility,
a duty or obligation. Remember the stress. Responsibility.
loyalty,
Faithfulness to a friend, like Samwise Gamgee.
temptation,
The desire to do something wrong, like the ring or the chocolate cake.
Courage.
Bravery in the face of fear, pronounced curry.
Humble.
Not arrogant, a very positive quality.
And our grammar reminders? What are the big two?
Watch out for the third person singular. He doesn't give up. Not he don't.
And when you share an opinion?
I agree. Not I am agree.
Fantastic. Listeners, you have survived the mines of Moria. You have crossed the plains of Rohan.
You have done excellent work today. Remember, your English journey is your own quest.
There will be orcs. There will be irregular verbs that attack you in the dark.
But step by step, you will get there.
And don't forget the importance of a fellowship. Find a study partner. Find a Sam who will help you study when you feel tired.
Absolutely. Don't try to do it all alone.
If you enjoyed this quest, don't stop here. The journey goes on.
There is always more to learn.
Check out the other videos on the channel to keep your streak going. You've got this.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep up the great work.
See you next time.